Good day, guys. How y'all doing? It's Nathaniel Evans, where I'm the data. Well, we are the data of our change. We focus on leadership and inner development and finding purpose in who we are and how we develop in the land. And, it's according to our legacies, and I'll be looking at different things that we focus on our lives a lot of times. And I've been doing research. I've actually read a book called Tuesdays with Murray, when actually the guy was talking about, his demise, and actually explaining to his student, all the glories that he saw of life and what he saw the value of life to be. We all have our different stories about what life is, but I've been looking at different concepts like that. Like when we get to the end of our days, it's like now we want to evaluate life and look at life from that type of perspective when we don't have the power anymore to make those changes. That's essential for us to have this type of legacy, like where we are, not, I guess you come to a space like being in a utopia, but there is no utopia. So, it's basically come to a space where you're at ease, you're at peace with your life, when you can find comfort in the little things, the little smiles, the little laughs, just the basic elements of life where you can find inside, and this is how I find Jessica, right? Moving according to her energy, who she is, what she brings to the world. And we're in two different states, right? But it doesn't matter because energy knows no bounds, right? We're not confounded by anything that's in the world unless we confine ourselves to it. And with that, I want Jessica Hollis Summers actually speak about her briefly. This is that is we have a discussion. I might throw a question or two out there, but it's only about discussions. You're here.
Well, my name is Jessica Hollis Summers. I am 47 years old. I am based here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born in Asheville, North Carolina, raised in the mountains. I went to school in Greensboro, North Carolina. I, like I said, I'm 47. I just returned home from incarceration in October of 21 after serving 6 years in federal prison. So I am fresh off the boat speaking. So it hasn't been a long time. But I have been working very hard to make that time count because that 6 years was incredibly both disturbing and formative. My life before it was characterized by dysregulation. I was in a incredibly abusive relationship, and I also had substance abuse issues. And in a way, my incarceration was a time that I was able to use to work on myself. And I've talked to a lot of people who did the same thing. And I'm not saying that the carceral system is a good thing. It's not. And I am an abolitionist. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
also a very firm believer that we work with what we've got. And that particular time it was an opportunity for me to sit myself down,
Mm-hmm.
work on myself.
No,
And
let me rephrase
you
it. Let me rephrase it real quick, right? Because you said, you said to sit yourself down. It was a time when you got sat
I
down.
got sat down, right?
Yeah, you got sat down. You ain't gonna sit yourself down nowhere. They sat you down. You got
That's
sat
right.
down. The universe said, nah. We need Jessica for some greater things. And maybe 6 years from now, maybe 7 years from now, but we need her to do some greater things. So we're gonna stop her on her tracks. We're gonna stop her from what she's doing because she's making a detrimental mistake on her path, right? And this is not what the universe designed for you when you was created, when it brought you into existence to actually go into spaces where you are not at your fullest potential, where you're not able to bring forth true light and true power from who you are. So there are times when the universe just sits us down, give us a reality check about, yo, bro, what's going on with you? Is this really serious? Do you really take this thing to be serious, or is this fun and games to you, right? So this is, the prison system, the carnal system, the, domestic violence system, the welfare system. All these different systems are systems to actually provoke thought. It gets us to start paying attention to the system of us, not the system of those things, even though those systems are there to actually, stir us up a little bit. But it's all about getting into who we are. You know what I'm saying? Getting into these components so now we can do the work that we can actually do. And it's like, okay, because I came out of prison, it might be prison is associated to my success, right? All right. If I fell down a well and I had food and water down there and I discovered myself, would the well be a part of my success? Right? So at the end, right? So when you're looking at it, right, we a lot of times it could be subjective or it could be subjective. We don't know, right? All we know is that we got sat down, right? And when we got sat down, we got sat down for a purpose. And then we said, okay, let me figure this one out.
Right.
Let me see what I'm doing wrong. Because I remember when I was in prison one time, and I used to like sing in the hallways and stuff like that. And people walking to me and say, "Why are you singing, man? There's nothing to be happy about in here." I said, "What here are you talking about? This place or within me?"
Right.
They said, "Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's within me, bro. Like I could be anywhere in the universe and still find my happiness." You can say that you took something from me, like life. I got people that I know that got 75 years in prison, 100 years in prison, but you wouldn't know it, right? Because they don't carry that according to their spirit. Sometimes we have to make amends for the things we've done. Sometimes we have to repent to ourselves for the things that we've done so we can do better, we can do greater in the universe. And even not just for ourselves, but also for legacy purposes,
Right.
right? You want to pass on things to not just your children, but society as a whole. You want to be a stamp of approval for life and say that, yeah, I got beat up. You know what I'm saying? I got dragged through the mud. You know what I'm saying? They picked me up and they threw me head first into this cell, right? And I came back out walking, right? And I don't want to take too much time, but, it's basically, and this is a conversation, like I said, Jessica, we talk at the same time. You chime in, you interject, you stop me in my tracks. This is what we do. We're having a conversation about an important aspect of life that has been separated from our core existence. And has been separated to the point that majority of its functionalities are antiquated. So when people say I went to prison and prison saved my life, I get what you're saying as far as like, it allowed me to process and really think about my life and put my life in perspective. But I didn't come out with coding skills. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I didn't come out with social media certifications. You know what I'm saying? I did not come out with electrical certifications and certificates. I did not come out with being Microsoft proficient, even though I've been in there for 15 years and I'm not proficient at Microsoft software. I don't know how to operate a PC as opposed to a Mac operational system, right? These things they're not teaching these things. I done made mattresses when I was in prison. I didn't come out with a mattress certificate or certification so I could actually go to Silly's, you know what I'm saying, and make some mattresses when I came home because I'm already certified from this institution that's not an institution according to the world because it's outside of the outskirts of society according to its principles.
I mean, like, think about like the firefighters. Remember those fires back in California? All those firefighters from the prisons, the guys who died.
Yep.
They couldn't. The ones who fought those fires couldn't even go out and work for the fire departments in California afterwards because they were not allowed to do so. I have a contact in Michigan. She worked for for Habitat for Humanity while she was incarcerated in Michigan. And when she came home, she contacted Habitat for Humanity and she said, "Hey, I worked for y'all while I was incarcerated. Can y'all help me with a job, maybe with some housing?" And they said, "We don't hire or help felons." And she's like, "But I did work for you while I was incarcerated, and you guys took my work while I was in prison." And they said, "But that's different." And I'm
No,
like,
they take her work.
how is that different?
Because it is different. It is different because the way that they characterize it makes it different. The system, the practicality of itself is the same. It's the same motion. I took my hands, I put my hand in the dirt, I pulled my hand out. He did the same thing. We did the same motion. But basically what happened is that you characterize what I'm doing as a form of enslavement. When you
Exactly.
characterize what he's doing as a form of freedom, when all men are free and no man is bound by no man, not bound by no man laws or constitutions, because no man in this universe has walked the line of perfection. Right? They want to keep talking about Christ. They want to keep talking about Christ. They want to keep talking about Christ. But that's your only point of reference. Out of trillions, out of the zillions upon zillions of people that have been in existence since life had even occurred, you only have one point of reference, you know what I'm saying, for perfection in the whole universe? Only one?
Only one.
Now look at this. Statistically, it doesn't even exist if you look at it. Not saying that that's not true, but when you look at it statistically, it's nowhere on the map.
Right.
If you look at the federal economic graph, and you go into the spaces of impoverished communities, the impoverished communities are so devastated. You know what I'm saying? Economically, they're not even on the map. You can see them on the outskirts of the map. They put an outskirt on the map so you can see where they at, because they're no longer on. They're not on that map, right? So when they create systems like this, that's right. So these systems are created when, according to how this kingdom has been created, according to the infamousy of slavery, right? They have actually took this same model and attach this model to all their systems of harm. And they have not come out of the framework of this model, even though they say we are a different society, we live according to a different model. You cannot judge us according to the past, even though we present the past to you every single day in all the work that we do. But please do not judge us according to the past, because we are not our forefathers.
You know, most Americans don't even realize that the 13th Amendment made slavery still legal for incarcerated people.
That's correct.
They don't even realize that. They're like, what's that? Like, read it.
What is that? Read it, right? Because I work with a guy, his name is Vadell Guzman. He had one campaign called Fix the 13th Amendment. And within that campaign, he was basically speaking about the unconstitutional economical structure that's associated to the prison system, right? And the fact that men and women are getting paid 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents an hour, right? And supposed to have economical resources when they come home to combat within a system that's making $15 up to $1,000 an hour in income, right? And he's saying, listen, you have to pay everybody minimum wage that's working inside the institution, because you, as a system, has created agreements with core craft and other type of industrial complexes that have nothing to do with the development or the dismantlement of the prison industrial complex, right? So, being that that's the case, this has now not turned into a prison. This has not turned into crime and punishment. This has turned into labor.
Commoditization of human suffering and labor.
That's right. So because it's turned into labor, now you're responsible to pay us for our labor. And it was ironic because he tried to deal with different nonprofit organizations that actually state that they stand for this type of direction, but they would not continue on supporting the man's project, right? And these are the gaps, these huge gaps that's forming around the reentry circle that allows the movement of the reentry circle to be very minuscule, right? And we have to move past these things to actually start seeing that, listen, we have to do our part to basically come at these different systems from different angles to bring forth clarity and awareness and to lift the eyelids, right? Because people are moving around in a facade about a system that is actually there also to entrap them, right? This system does not care about who you are. It has no respect of persons, right? No,
Not in the
don't get
slightest.
it twisted.
And
Don't
people
get it
on the
twisted.
outside aren't educated about it either. They are under
That's
a lot of illusions about what prison actually is and what it does. Like most people that I know don't realize that people in prison aren't provided with the majority of the things that they need. They're like, "Oh, well, why do people in prison need money?" They don't realize that they don't get basic things, and they don't realize how
mm,
expensive things are inside a prison. And they don't realize how terrible the quality of like medical care, et cetera, is, you know,
I,
and so they
yeah,
think that
I
you
think
get
it's
high on the hog. Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
dear.
yeah. It's a misconception. It's a misconception.
It really
They
is.
have the misconception is that the prison system is a business.
Hmm.
They want to label it under public safety, which is amazing, which actually goes into our next point on the work that you're doing in the public. You know what I'm saying? To ensure the public safety, of our people in this time period and also thereafter, setting groundworks for people and what does that look like from your inner world?
Well, the work that I currently do, the organization that I work with, um, we have a unique perspective in that we start working with people who have at least 2 years left on their sentences. Our organization is focused on women. We only work with women, and we start when our ladies have at least 2 years left. Like we actually even have some lifers. We have a certain amount of
Hmm.
lifers that we have, but the majority have at least 2 years left. And the reason for that is because we want to spend time with them before they hit the door, working on forming goals, helping to set up their reentry as a springboard for success.
Hmm.
Um, our our population's recidivism rate is less than 1%, and we've been around for this next year is going to be 25 years.
That's right.
So our
That's right.
recidivism is a very bad metric because recidivism rates are predicated upon people recidivate because of violations are done for really dumb reasons. You can get violated, especially like as far as federal, you can get violated for some really dumb things. So
I work
some
with the federal prison. I work with that population
yeah,
before.
I was a
Hmm.
federal inmate.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you can
Hmm.
get violated for some really penny ante stuff.
It's
You know,
very
I know a
intense.
lady who went back to prison because she had bought a car and she spent more than $500 and she didn't report it to her PO in time, and he violated her and he sent her back to prison. She was doing everything right. That was not a reason to violate her, but it was actually technically a reason for violating her. You know,
Yeah, because
so
because you don't know the laws.
yes, I say that to say recidivism is not necessarily the best metric for success, but it is a metric, you know? So
Hmm.
our as far as it goes, we have a very, very low recidivism rate. And and it's just one of those things that we can say, yes, here we have this.
Yeah.
But the reason that we do what we do is because we're trying to help people form a foundation. Most people, when they come out oftentimes to
And
nothing.
let's speak clearly, definitively on the woman. You know what I'm saying? Because you say most people, but I want you to speak specifically about the woman because this is the only population that you're serving. You know what I'm saying? So, speak about the woman and what does that, what would that look like? Because I have worked for a women's organization before, and they just said that they only mess with women. And I was in there, and I was like, oh,
Well,
what's going on? So
Well, first of all, women are the fastest growing demographic for prosecution and incarceration.
mm,
So we
mm,
are the numbers of women going to prison are exponent. I mean, it's like I believe it's 450% in the past 40 years is how much it's increased.
that's a big difference.
So it's like it's like the government decided, well, hey, who
Mhm.
else? You know,
So
we already hit one population.
yeah,
Let's move on.
yeah. So would it be safe to say that because when my mother when my mother in her time period, she was really scared that she had a son. You know what I'm saying? Because she was like, they're going to, target her son in the community. And she's like really talking to me a lot about the police system and the communities and things of that nature. And she was very fearful. So according to what you're saying, like a 450% increase in incarceration against women actually is an indication to women to be careful when they're having daughters.
Oh yeah.
Because once it was, oh, be careful you have a son. But now it's be careful you have a daughter.
Mm-hmm. And the reason being is, it used to be that women, that like they would arrest a man. Like, for instance, let's just use an example. Like maybe they'd arrest a drug dealer, and they might leave his girlfriend alone because she had kids at home or something like that. That doesn't happen anymore. They will arrest.
Mm.
They will arrest that woman, and they will go after not just the man. They will go after the wife, the girlfriend. They will go after the mother. They'll go
And
after
the kids.
They will create a network, a conspiracy network. Conspiracy prosecutions make so much money for the government, whether it's the state or the federal, because it gets them so many prosecutions, so many convictions. And you
Yeah.
build prisons to fill them with people.
No, nah, don't say that, Jessica.
Really?
You're totally off. They made prisons just so it could be there. It's like because
They just really look pretty.
prison looks so beautiful from the outside, right? That it's like the Taj Mahal, right? So they made prisons so people could look at them, right? No,
Right.
they made prisons so they could be occupied.
Exactly.
Right? They have systems within the prison system that actually basically goes against the humanitarian system. It goes against our ecosystems as a people,
Right.
right? We have created allow an entity to create itself that actually goes against the purpose of itself, which is actually to create and promote life according to spaces of public safety. So now we have found ourselves in a space of crime and punishment, right? We have found ourselves in a space of basically feeding the economical, insatiable giant. This entity is insatiable when it comes to economics, when it comes to the devouring of human life, when it comes to devouring of visions, of goals, of dreams, of purpose. You know what I'm saying? Even the fate of life itself, where this system actually will rob you of a certain thing. I was in a certain prison before. I think it was Mid-State Correctional Facility, and I was in this mess hall, and I got my food, ate it, getting back up to dump it, and a guy bumped into me, right? So so when he bumped into me, I done dumped my thing, but when he bumped into me, his plate fell. So I bit down and started helping him pick it up. And the officer walked up to me and said, "Yo, what you doing?" I said, "What does it look like I'm doing, sir? What are you talking about? What am I doing?" I said, "I'm helping the man pick up the plate because, I was partly responsible." And he said, "You're not here to help anyone but yourself." So I said to him, "Well, if that was the case, then why would I be incarcerated if I'm only here to help myself? I thought I was here for public safety. I thought I was here to increase the value of our societal norms according to what you're saying in your little fancy law books that you have created, right?" And when I look at this movement, this is something I actually want to say to you too, is that as you're moving, be unapologetic in your movement. As you're moving, make no excuses, have no never mind, and do not come off of the path that you're on to explore anything other than the increasement of who you are and what you represent in the world. Being unapologetic allows us to get into certain rooms, to bring forth certain changes, you know what I'm saying, to implement new laws and new structures so that we as a people can look back at this 500, 1,000 years from now and say, we have done a great testament for our people in the land. We know without a shadow of a doubt that there's no being on this plane that we on this plane with that is perfect. Every day I go and look at the news, this happened, that happened. This politician did this. This radio host did this. This actor did this, right? Every single day, right? Is without end because life is without end. And life cannot be structured in a way where you're saying, like, no man can make a mistake to the point where you rob a man of his life and you have made the same mistake that that man made, but no one knows that you made it because you hide in the dark, right? And then they catch you 20 years later, right? And now what? I was looking at something the other day. It was a man, he had did 47 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. And it was a black man. The two white women came up and said that he did not do the crime, and they let him go after 47 years. They asked him, was he upset with the woman? He said no. But when they went to approach the woman had no heart. They did not give him a real farewell. They didn't go hug him and kiss him for robbing him for 47 years of his life, right? And they think that it's a game, that they robbed a man for 47 years of life because they playing these diabolical games here. But it's like I tell many people when I'm on these platforms, this is a spiritual thing, man. This is a spiritual vibration. You caught up in physiology. You need to move past that. We're not dealing with physiology. We're not dealing with
What you sow,
emotion.
you will reap.
Oh, yeah. We're not even dealing with the heart. We're dealing with the spiritual essence of what you have created and what you have allowed to actually create itself as a footprint in the land and against the people. I said, I'm going to tell you something. When you get to the spiritual realm, you're going to be looking for people like me and Jessica. And we're going to look over and say, nah, they promoted harm in the land. They justified that harm should be in the land. They have taken lives from people for no reason other than their ego or their pride or their prejudices that they have actually created over some economical substance that will die out before they die, right? So when we're looking at these different systems, we have to be very cautious on what men and women build against one another. Those two women are supposed to have shown mercy and compassion for that man's life that they robbed.
I don't know how somebody could sleep. I don't know how they could eat. That's when I have to try to cultivate some compassion here because you think what happened to them that they were able to do that.
Ooh, you don't even want to know.
Something had to have happened to those women in their life that they were able to do that because people don't start out that way. Children start out pure, you know? Harm is done to them
Yeah,
that
you know,
turns
but
them that way.
yeah, it's true. The art of forgiveness is not a
Or else
one-way
they're
cycle.
taught. They're taught.
Yeah, and maybe taught this. You know, the art of forgiveness is a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? You have to forgive yourself for even things that you have experienced, the things that you have
Right.
actually gone through, or even some of the things you have allowed yourself to be subjected to. You have to forgive yourself for those things. But at no point do you go and punish others for the
Exactly.
things that's not right with you. You know, these are
Right.
testaments
It
of
just
a
shows that they were
society.
completely they were, I don't like using this term because sometimes people that are involved in conspiracy theories use it, but they're like asleep,
Mm,
unconscious, and
yeah, very.
not not comprehending the harm that they were doing. That doesn't make it right.
Yeah,
But when there's that phrase, when you know better you do better. Sometimes it's, a lot of times it's true, sometimes it's not. Sometimes people do know better but they refuse to do better.
they feel to
And
do
I
better.
think that when he was acquitted, when he was, given that grace, the reversal, however it happened, and they realized, ooh, we really messed up, that they chose not to say, you know what, here. At that point, they're accountable.
Now they're
They're
accountable
accountable.
now.
And
Now you're accountable.
woo boy,
Now you're
that's
accountable.
that's some
And
heaviness on the
that's
spirit right
that's a
there.
heaviness on the spirit. That's something that you don't want. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I look at things from basically like a humanitarian perspective, but I also
Mhm.
look at things metaphorically, right? And I see, like, I say, wow, it's amazing that we're not going to live forever on this plane, right? And if that's the case, why would we leave such harm behind us? Or we're not going to live forever. Why would you go and plant harm in the land? It's basically like you say, you jump up one day and you say, you know what? I want to be a vegetarian, right? And then a bulletin come across the TV and say, for everybody that's a vegetarian, you got some very bad news. The Most High poisoned all the fruits and vegetables. You're not going to eat no fruits and vegetables. Now what? Where do your value system goes for being a vegetarian? Where's it go? Now, who is your principle? What is your principle for life?
Right. Maybe got to do the
So when
next
you,
best thing.
that's right. When you take core values out of existence, you have taken core values out of existence. Don't make it seem like you haven't taken them out of existence. You have, right? And if you take core values out of existence, don't expect those core values to show up. Don't expect those core values to be a part of anyone's existence. If I didn't have my own spirit, when that police officer told me I'm not here to help another man, I still help them anyway. It doesn't matter what you say, sir.
Right.
At the end of the day, for you to tell me I'm not here to help another man, who are you to tell me the direction of my spirit? And where did you come from?
Right.
And whatever you came for that made you a God, please go back there because we don't need you. These are people down here that's making mistakes and trying to find out things in trial and error and get ourselves together and get our footing back so we can get to our power. So if you already came out here perfect, we don't need you. Why are you here? You should be up there with the council.
Where are you when fights are happening, sir?
Yeah.
Where are you when people are hurting each other? And no, instead you're
here
trying to interrupt a good deed.
Yeah, that's right. So at the end of the day, when you create certain legacies for your own existence, understand this, man. I don't care who you are and what you think you have done, and it doesn't even matter. Understand that you have created a legacy against your own being.
That's right.
So you can go and you can play any game you want to. You can create any laws that you want to, because I read their laws, and their laws suck. There's no other way for me to say it. I read all their little stupid laws, their penal law, this, jeopardize this, and all these different things, and it's all hogwash.
Yep, it's based on preservation of property.
That's correct. It means nothing.
Prioritization of property over people.
That's correct. You have created law. You have written laws in the land above the constitution of man, where man can also rewrite those same laws that you have created. So the laws actually against man don't even exist, because man can actually turn around and create new laws and write new laws, right? It's a space of laws where we're looking at that is absent of compassion. It is absent of mercy. It's absent of faith, and it's absence of reality. So when we're looking at these things, it's time to say, you know what? Okay, all right, you got it, man. Yeah, you put me in the prison system. I was in there for 10 years, this amount of time, and that amount of time. I'm going to make you pay for that. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you, you know what I'm saying, what it is that your system is not doing and what your system perpetuates, you know what I'm saying, and how to actually move in systematic ways through basically strategic planning to create new policies and new approaches to attack these different systems that's actually coming out. So now we're saying that the rate for women being incarcerated has skyrocketed over 400%
in the last 40
years.
Absolutely.
Right?
So what does that do to communities?
That would that do to communities?
We already have, especially communities of color, impoverished communities, where they're already pulling out the men. What happens, because the majority of those women who are being incarcerated are unfortunately women of color. Now you're pulling out the women too.
That's right.
What happens to those children? What happens to those elders?
That cycle.
Communities are gutted.
That cycle is phenomenal. That cycle is
perpetuated. So you have the disruption of families. You have the disruption of the economic system in the communities. You have trauma perpetuated at a systemic and an individual level.
Ooh.
So they go in, so
School.
these kids that go to school or don't go to school, they're traumatized. They end up in the freaking school to prison pipeline. They go to prison already traumatized. They go into prison, get traumatized, come out messed up. It
Mm-mm.
happens again.
Again. So I'm gonna ask you a question.
Whoa.
When has it ever been a time when you woke up and said, you know what, I need to hit my big toe on something?
Every day.
I'm saying you know when you're looking at society and you're looking at the association of harm and pain, no one wants to experience any harm or any pain,
No, suffering.
right?
We withdraw from suffering.
We withdraw from
Everything we
suffering
do is because we don't want to suffer.
to suffer. That's right. It's a defense mechanism. So it's
Yes,
fight or flight, fight
exactly.
or flight. There's no in between. And this is what man has done. He has taken, he has created a gray area when it doesn't exist. There is no gray area. It's called fight or flight. It don't say fight, gray area, contemplate, and then flight. No, it doesn't say that. It says either you're gonna fight or you're gonna flight. It does. It's no gray area anywhere in that space, right? When you're looking at Maslow hierarchy of needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maslow hierarchy of needs talk about the fundamental basics of all humanity, not just your humanity, but
All
all humanity.
humanity.
Not just your laws, but
Right.
all laws. Not just your food, but all food. You know what I'm saying? Not just your community, but all
All communities.
communities. You know what I'm saying? When you start separating the constitution of this man, from this community, from that community, from this educational system to this educational system, you are perpetuating a harm, unfortunately, that will follow you,
Exactly.
right? So, you can, and I say it all the time, create what it is you're going to create and be good at it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, what you create is going to come back and find you. So if you want to create some nice harm in the land,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to applaud you because Nathaniel and Jessica know what's on the back end of that. So we're really going to tell you not to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, like at the end of the day, it's just your existence. You don't have to listen to anything that we have to say, right? But what we're going to tell you is this. You're not going to like what's going to come out on that back end of that thing
No.
that you plan. We're dealing with systems, and I was in an organization where the women have no tools and no resources. I was actually turned into the bad guy because I was looking for the tools and resources for the women, and I was being attacked on every front by black women, white women, and things of that nature. Somebody even I was asked a question by a woman that really threw me back. She asked me, what do women need when they come out of prison? And I looked at her and I was like, I said, you being a woman, right? And she didn't like that statement. I said, well, you being a woman. I said, you know what? She said, well, I said, yeah, you being a woman, you ever had the experience like when you was in the shower and you reach your hand out the shower and you grab that towel? She said, yes, that's soft cashmere towel. And I wrap it around my body and it just nugs me up and make me feel so cuddly. I said, yes, every woman want to experience that, not just you. Don't ask me what woman come out prison. I'm not a woman. You understand? So the fact that you say you're a women organization but don't know what women need when they come out of prison, and I really have to question if you're a women organization or not, right? And now you want to come and say something to me about my professionalism because my professionalism is not associated with the downtrodden. You know what I'm saying? It's not associated with sending people back into prison because they don't have the tools and resources they need to actually have an adequate footing. You know what I'm saying? So they can actually be successful in the long run. You know what I'm saying? My profession has nothing to do with you're telling me that women come out of prison, they don't need no sanitary napkins. They're not going to need a gift card. They don't need no bras or panties or socks. No one needs soap because people don't wash with soap. You see what I'm saying? No one needs none of these things when they come out of prison, right? No one needs a job that's set up for them vocational training that's set up for them, right? Or any other things of this
So what
nature.
on earth do women need then?
Who knows?
Because I know lots of other women's organizations who that is exactly the things that they set them up with, because those are
Ah,
universal female needs.
universal female needs. And, and I was in this space and I got basically pushed out because they did not want to conform to getting the tools and the resources for the woman that was coming out of prison. And it was a phenomenal thing for me to experience. And I'm going to say something, man. It was a life-changing thing for me. It changed the content of my heart. It changed the constitution of my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because it allowed me to start understanding, you know what I'm saying, that this is not a game and this is not a sport. And to really start looking at the dynamics of the systems that I associate myself to and link myself to if I do not want to be misrepresented as a professional. So it allowed me to start really taking my path seriously and to understand, I'm here to make a difference according to the differences that the organization has already provided, so I can actually make this basically streamlined process, you know what I'm saying, as effectively as possible, right? There's no reason why I should go into an organization and fight tooth and nail for tools and resources, right, that's supposed to already exist, right?
Right.
This is important to show, you know what I'm saying, that when we go into these different spaces, especially as reentry professionals, you know what I'm saying, as reentry specialists, as reentry leaders, whatever title that you want associated to it, by all means. But when we go into these places, understand that we're here to make a difference in the lives of those people that's in those places and not for our lives. A lot of times we go in spaces and we're trying to save our own lives. We're trying to get our mortgage and our car note, you know what I'm saying, and get that $5,000 dog that we want, you know what I'm saying? And we forgetting that the people that's in these spaces need our energy. They need our purpose. They need us to even tell them stories about our past. So they can say, you know what, I'm not walking alone. Nathaniel went through the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I used to work for agency and I used to go meet people in the community and I used to run into different men and they would say, man, you don't know nothing about, being in prison. And I said, man, don't let these slacks fool you, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't get, yeah. Don't be looking at these Calvin Klein slacks and all
Right.
like that. This is an
Don't let it
illusion.
fool you.
Yeah, all this is an illusion. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not a good thing, but I see that some men and women they relax, they calm down. The defense systems go out the window because they saying, oh, here's somebody that understand exactly what I went through, bro. Not in totality, because but he has a sense of actually what it is,
Right.
to start over.
They want they need empathy and not sympathy, because anybody can have sympathy. Oh, I feel sorry for you. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Empathy is, I have been where you are. I have walked in your shoes. I have experienced the same kinds of things that you have experienced, and we have some kinship. Sympathy is, oh, you poor baby. I feel so sorry for you and I have pity for you. No, no, no. I don't want your sympathy. And I don't have sympathy for you. What I have is empathy, because you know
Empathy.
what? I've been in that cell and I might not be you. I haven't been you, but we have been on similar journeys, similar enough that my heart feels your heart right now.
Mm-hmm. My
And
spirit
my
feels
spirit
your
feels your
spirit.
spirit right now. And you know
Yeah.
what? And I'm here for you. And so
Yeah.
that's the way I approach my clients that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they don't,
Yeah.
it's like I've got 20 women that I work with right now, and I'm in touch with them every day, and we just build them up, because that's, like as they're walking their walk in
Mm-hmm.
their incarceration. Some of them, They might never come out. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because you know
Yeah.
what? I'm still walking with them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and building that relationship is important because that knowing that somebody is there.
Yeah, man. And it's really important because it's something else that I've been seeing too, Jessica, is that, you know, we go into these organizations, or we create organizations, stuff like that. And then we get caught up in a power structure of what these things are, you know. And we lose our head, man. We lose our footing. We lose our purpose, actually, why we came into these places in the first place. And one of the sad realities I see about this is that these individuals start dropping off like flies. They start disappearing. You know, they get replaced by other people. But the work that they could have did when they was in that position, they didn't do that work, right? So there's a big gaping hole, you know what I'm saying, that they were not able to fulfill, right? And that's a disservice to those that come behind them, you know, that they will actually just like minimize their participation in the movement because they have arrived. They have made it across the
Right.
threshold, you know, and life is just Gucci now. You know what I'm saying? They can do this and they can do that. You know what I'm saying? No one could tell them nothing.
Lost
I
touch.
won't even. It was a day when I was sharing my sandwich with you, but this sandwich comes from such and such place. You know what I'm saying? And it costs this amount of money. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to share that sandwich with you, right? And it's like, okay, let me taste a higher vibration of purpose, but I'm gonna keep giving you mediocrities.
Mm.
But I want to tell you that you're doing an amazing job. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see you here. You know what I'm saying? You know, keep up the good work, man. Keep doing what it is that you've
Doing what
been
I
doing
can.
all this time,
Doing what I
right?
can. You too.
But then, yeah, then when now instead of me getting a taste of this new vibration, this new energy, this new spirit, I'm denied it, right? And then I watch you eat of it, and then one day you're denied it, and then we're denied together, right? But then it's like the Most High says in the scriptures, he said, in the good times, you forget the bad, and the bad times, you forget the good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, you on this plateau right here. This is amazing. But if you ever move from that plateau, you're never going to think about it or remember that it was so amazing. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't be in two places at the same time.
Right.
So I say that to say this, that when we go into these places, that we stay humble,
Mm-hmm.
that we stay full of grace, that we stay full of mercy, that we are as long suffering as we want the Most High to be towards us. You know, that we show the same compassion that we want to be shown to us as we're navigating through this world. Maybe you didn't ever go to prison, but I'm pretty sure you've been through some hardships.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you had to navigate some things that made it felt like you was in prison. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure there's people, and some you didn't even know, that help you along the way to get out those ditches that you found yourself in. You know? So in return, you return this to others. You know what I'm saying? You help others to see what you see. You help others explore what you explore. You know, one of the main things about being in leadership roles and working with people, you know, is understanding what your substance is, you know, and understanding your value, and that value has to be a standalone value. I learned this through trial and error, through my many falls and the reentry movements and different things of that nature, rising and falling and things of that nature, that you have to be advisable to yourself about who you are, right? And what actually brought you into that room. And that will keep you in the room. That will keep you to do the things and the work that you need to do, right? And fall out of the evaluation and the judgment of others as you out here doing your work. It has nothing to do with them. You do the work that you have to do. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with anybody. I don't care. You're the supervisor, your director. I went to an interview the other day and they was talking about directors and supervisors. And so I said, listen, man, at the end of the day, Those are big eyes and little U's, right? I'm not into that. I'm a leader, right? We're going to move in leadership according to this certain purpose, right? If we could get these things done, let's get it done, right? But if you bring me into agency to control me, I can't go into the agency. I'm not here to be controlled. And it's understanding that, listen, I have a higher purpose. Right now, I'm doing this organization. Yeah, I'm getting my footing, but I'm a springboard and I'm going to move into something totally different. I'm going to create a whole new strategy, a whole new reality. I'm going to connect with a whole different purpose. Because why? I have the means to do so, and I have the purpose to do it. Right? And this is us as leaders in real time, knowing that our value system is able to save lives.
That is the hope, including our own.
Including our own. That's a fact.
Because you know what? Where we are right this moment is not necessarily indicative of where we might be in 5 years. And you never know how the seeds that you sow in the relationships in your life right now might come to bear fruit, and how those people that you're working to help right now might save your life or
That's
help
correct.
you in 5 years.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know, man. You know,
So this is not about being like, having this like savior mentality. This is about like we just help each other.
Yeah, just keep it simple. Just keep it short and simple.
Exactly.
And be realistic about it. You know what I'm saying? If I see I'm out there and I got opportunities, you know what I'm saying? Maybe this brother and sister is not in sync with my ideologies and my principles. Maybe this brother and sister don't want to work a 9 to 5 and things of that nature, right? Maybe this brother and sister got other abilities. This brother don't have no children, don't have no responsibility. This brother can go from state to state to state to state to state and create coalitions. Right. This sister can do this over here. Don't put us all in the same boat. We're not on the same boat. We are cut from different cloths, bro, and we're going to move according to different cloths at the same time.
To eat according to their own.
That's correct. You know what I'm saying? So don't lock me into nothing, right?
Everybody's
so
called
when you
according to their different purposes and different gifts.
That's right. So when you see these brothers and sisters and they moving, but they don't got they full footed and they ain't got their full structure, come in and say, hey, let's do this. Let's look at it like this. Let's approach it in this way. But at no time do you come out and say, I'm greater than that person. I've done things that he should have done and all these different things. Don't get caught up in those mysteries, man. Don't get yourself caught up. So when you get to the top and they deflate you, next thing you know, you're talking about you ain't got no more purpose for life and all this stuff. Don't get caught up in none of that stuff, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. What you're going to do is humble yourself. You're going to be full of grace and you're going to be full of gratitude. And you're going to have faith and hope in others. You know what I'm saying? It's what you're going to do.
Exactly.
And this is going to carry you and carry you and carry you. But as soon as you get to that space where you, I'm greater than that man, I'm greater than that woman, now you have made yourself less than.
I try to look at every experience I go into and every person I meet, and I think to myself, what am I going to learn here? And in fact, the people that tweak me, like the ones that irritate me, my spirit says, you got something to learn from them.
That's correct.
The most, because something in them is grating at me. So there's something there that I've got to learn. If an experience is dragging at me and it's making me grit my teeth, I'm like,
and what does that do? What does that do for you?
It's me having to learn something.
Builds
and it helps to remember that, to reframe that. And you know what?
Right.
I got pretty good at that in prison. And that, like I'm saying, that's one of those experiences because I had to. It was a survival mechanism. It was either go down or go up.
That's it. That's it.
And I chose to go up because it was,
you chose to go up.
That's what I had to do.
You chose to go up.
I had to do for my own self-preservation.
That's right. These are the principal learnings, you know what I'm saying, that we're talking about. When you look at this, we're about to close out in 5 minutes, but when you look at this podcast and revisit this podcast, you look at the principles that we're actually talking about on finding methods on how to help others navigate. And one of the principles we actually was able to identify is that it's you that has to have that principle to help others navigate as you have navigated if you deem yourself to be a leader, right? You may go in an organization, they say, you're the director. Now you're a leader now, right? Because you're the director. Now you have to bring forth leadership. Don't make yourself greater than the task at hand because you don't understand the task. You working for a nonprofit to combat, let's say, homelessness. You're not going to be able to eradicate homelessness in your position. Homelessness is all over the world. You only work in one organization within one little city. You know what I'm saying? With one little zip code. You're only responsible for that place. So you focus on the strength of that place and how to magnify that place. If you come up with some quick fix solutions or some amazing things, then you should actually share those things with people in North Carolina, Atlanta, Dallas, Philadelphia, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So we can have abundance of who we are as a people and come out of these strongholds that we have placed upon ourselves. You know, I go into organizations and say, you're a worker. No, I'm not. I did not come here to work. I'm an explorer. That's what I do. I'm exploring. I'm finding out what is going on and what are y'all doing. And how can I be a part of it if it's good?
Right?
If it's good and wholesome, I want to be a part of it, right?
Like
If
a
it's not good and
butterfly.
wholesome, leave me out the equation. I don't want to go into the room. I don't want to know nobody. I don't want to shake no hands, rub no shoulders, do no luncheons. I don't want to do none of that. If it's not wholesome and good, leave me out of the equation. And I'm very adamant about it, right? It's because we need to understand that our purpose is not one-dimensional.
Right.
If we lock ourselves into a one-dimensional purpose, we will not grow into the next purpose that's lined up for us to explore and bring forth these changes in the land.
Right.
In the next 20 years, I'm looking to be a politician. I'm looking to run for office and different things like that. In the next 5 or 10 years, I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he got a felony. Yeah, we're going to fix that too. Right? So at the end of the day, we move in a space where we're going to bring forth change for our existence because that's our purpose to do so. And no one can tell us that it's not.
It's not. It is our purpose. It is our purpose to learn. It is our purpose to grow. It is our purpose to change ourselves. And it is our purpose to change the environment around us.
It is our purpose.
For the better, because we are changing for the better. We can't help it. It is the principle of it is the nature of the universe. We change everything around us by changing ourselves.
That's correct. It's all about the energy.
So we have to be very careful in what we do in ourselves, because what we do inside of ourselves is what we put out.
That's correct. Whatever you plant, it will grow. Whether it may be negative, whether it may be positive, it will grow. And the thing about this universe is no respecter of persons. I want you to understand this. There's no respecter of persons. If you do not give your strength to others, others will not give your strength to you. Don't ever think that you would not need the strength of another to assist you in a time of need. Right now, we're in a space in this time where there are economical devastations that's taking place in people's lives. People are being uprooted and dismantled in all different type of ways. And they're taking their lives and they're throwing their lives away. And they're saying their lives are meaningless. No, there's not. No. This is I'm the data, right? And I'm a data tells us that we are the data of our change, right? So when we come into these spaces, know that we are the data of these different changes. And that we cannot allow the universe or even experiences, in the universe and experiences to dictate that we cannot be great in our purpose. You can been to prison, you can been here. Other day I was in Manhattan, I seen a white lady on the sidewalk with a sign. She was homeless, and she was like, she had a sign up that said domestic violence suck, right? And it struck me and it hit me hard. And it just let me know that there's so many different variations of harm in this land that we have to tackle these things one by one and know that we have a purpose. So we are the data of our change.
Absolutely.
And, say good day, Jessica, to everybody. It was great having you here. And let people know how to reach you, where to find you. And I'm definitely going to send you this video.
phoenixcreativeservices.com with an F. And you can put the link in the podcast. Thank you so much.
That's right. You too, sister. Send me that link. I'm gonna put it in podcast when I upload it too on another channel, and I'm gonna send it to you. And it was great talking to you. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Much love.
You too. Welcome to I'm a Dad, guys. Please subscribe. Look out for the kid. Keep me moving forward. Look out for the kid. Later, guys.